I love it, I love it. Thank you so much for that welcome. Bonnie Raitt, you gotta love Bonnie Raitt. So I just want to thank you, Brian, for that introduction, of course. To the members of the Executive Council, your leadership team, I'm like out of breath from just walking up the aisle, oh my gosh. Woo! How's everybody doing out there? I don't know, I didn't hear you. How you doing out there, NALC? I am bringing the voice and power of 12.5 million working people into this room with me. What do you think of that? The AFL-CIO unions. 60 unions, and the NALC is one of those 60. It's pretty amazing. Now, I want to get to all the incredible work that you're doing, of course, but I just want to say, first off, what a year the past 2 weeks have been, right? Anybody with me? Woo! I've been in the labor movement for a little while now. I'm not going to say how long, of course. But the honest truth is, I have never seen a moment like this. The energy, the excitement, the enthusiasm, are you feeling it? I know, like you, I have just every single day, your phone is blowing up with some game-changing political news that we hadn't seen in like a century. And to come out of all of it with this energy, this enthusiasm, I have never seen anything like it. I just love it. Yes, it is about beating Donald Trump. But it's about something a whole lot more as well. It's about people recognizing the power that we have when we come together. Are you feeling powerful? And do you feel that people all across this country are seeing unions in a new light? 70% of the public supports unions right now. When have we ever had a moment like this? And why is that? Well, it's because they are fed up. They are fed up with the way things have been going. Do you hear it? Do you feel it out there? That's right. When I travel this country, I talk to workers all over and they're saying, hey, look, my paycheck isn't going as far as it used to. My rent is out of control. I don't know if I'm gonna still have a job in the next few years because of technology and all the changes that are taking place. Are you hearing that too? People aren't feeling as good about their future. They're living on the edge. Because, does it make sense to anyone in this room? Listen to these words. That the richest people in this country have seen their wealth go up $1.8 trillion with a T, while workers struggle to put food on the table. Makes no sense. Does it make sense to anyone in this room that Jeff Bezos makes in 7 seconds what the average Amazon warehouse worker makes in a year? That makes no sense. He has enough money to rocket himself into space while half this country lives paycheck to paycheck? No. But if you look around right now, something absolutely amazing is happening. All over this country, workers are reclaiming our power. That's right. Workers are realizing, hey, there is a way to fight back. And it's not complicated, folks. It's the exact same way that we got the 8-hour workday, and sick leave, and paid family leave, and vacation time. It's the exact same way that letter carriers back in 1970 in New York and right here in New England and then all over the country stood up and face down Nixon and Congress and poverty wages. You did that. And what is that way we fight back? We come together in a union. We come together in a union. And no one knows that better than this incredible leadership team that you have. Your president, Brian Renfro, who is fearless and personifies where this labor movement is and where we are going. The Deep South, leaving no worker behind. And I am in awe of the NALC's 93% voluntary membership, which is one of the highest and best organized in the entire country. How you like that, NALC? And the NALC and this leadership team have been at the forefront through a pandemic, through reform battles, through political attacks. You're right there. And it hasn't been easy. It hasn't been easy for 1 second, has it? But day after day, this country keeps moving because of you. Because of you. A grandparent gets that life-saving medication because of you. That 5-year-old gets their birthday card that they've been anxiously waiting for because of you. And you check in. You check in on those older folks who may not have had anyone else around. That is you. And you're there through it all. And I've been in the back listening, you know, about extreme weather. And you always have dealt with weather. But this extreme heat, I think about Brother Gates, right? And I was talking to the Branch 127 folks on the shuttle over here from Jeff City. Are you out there? I don't know if anyone from Jeff City's out there. But they were sharing with me the tricks of the trade and how you stay cool, how you fight back against extreme heat. One of my sisters was telling me she puts ice in her bra. Whatever it takes, right? You get creative. And when it came to vote, in the middle of a pandemic, Americans knew they could trust you. They knew they could trust you. This country does not work without you. Yes. And it's about damn time that our leaders recognize that. The leaders of this country need to get out there in that heat and try to do your job. So it's time to make sure every letter carrier in this country has the dignity and respect they deserve. It's time to pass the Protect Our Letter Carriers Act so that every letter carrier in this country doesn't have to walk down the street afraid they're going to be harassed, attacked, assaulted, or even killed. And I'm thinking, of course, of Sister Redmond and her family. Health and safety. That's what we fight for in this labor movement. And we're going to keep fighting. It's time for the fair pension valuation method. All right? So our letter carriers retire with dignity that they deserve. And so our entire postal network is strong for decades and decades to come. And I promise you that I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure this is front and center, the Biden administration for the next 6 months, but certainly on the agenda for our next president of the United States, Kamala Harris. And we're standing strong with you in the fight for a fair contract, those 12.5 million members of the AFL-CIO. We got your back. So, we need to keep pushing ourselves. We need to keep pushing ourselves because those forces that want to drag us backwards, they're not going away. 3 months. 3 months is all we have until the most important election of our lifetimes. And I'm not exaggerating this time. This will be the most important election. An election where our letter carriers are going to play such an important role. As Brian said earlier, face-to-face communication is how we break through. It's how we reach people the best. And nobody does that better than the NALC. I've seen it. I've been around for a few election cycles, and our central labor councils and our state federations fight over who gets the NALC volunteers. Trust me, they're the best canvassers in the country on the doors. And this election is going to single-handedly determine so much of what our future looks like. I don't know about y'all, but when you're out there talking about politics, it's a little heated out there. When I talk to workers, I'm hearing some familiar themes. Tell me if you hear this. People don't want you to tell them who to vote for. They say, oh no, just give me the facts. No BS. I want the facts and no BS. Well, I'm gonna deliver a few facts. I'm gonna help you out because then you can take this out of this room and back home with you. You with me? And we're gonna deliver these facts. It's a little pun for letter carriers. It is a fact that Donald Trump sold us down the river 4 years ago so his billionaire friends could get even richer. Fact number one. Fact number two, he called our postal service a joke in the middle of a pandemic. He insulted every letter carrier who put their life on the line to keep service going by saying that. Number three, it is a fact that he claimed mass fraud took place in vote by mail last time around, right? Because he cannot stand that we beat him. Those are the facts, folks. Those are the facts. And here's a few more. Anyone out there heard of Project 2025? Let me correct myself. Have you heard of Donald Trump's Project 2025? Okay? Because no matter how hard he tries to run from his Project 2025, he owns that agenda. This is the blueprint for his second term. And the Heritage Foundation and 100 or more of his former staff are the ones who developed Project 2025. This blueprint for his second term hits every single union member and their families extremely hard, but it's our public sector and our federal sector who are going to get hurt the most. Why? Public sector bargaining would be outlawed. Does that make anyone in here nervous? I would think so. Because if public sector unions no longer exist, then what kind of a voice are we going to have? None. No more public sector unions, period. That's what this blueprint would do. Retirement plans for federal workers, slashed. Protections against harassment, discrimination for our LGBTQ+ family, women, the list goes on and on, gone. Hundreds of thousands of dedicated public service workers replaced with Donald Trump loyalists. You see where this is going. No protection for our right to bargain. It would be the end of the labor movement as we know it, folks. Does this alarm anyone? Right? If you wrote that stuff into a movie script, they'd turn you away for being too extreme. But it's real. And this is what we're up against. And it's on all of us to spread the word about Trump's Project 2025 to our friends, our neighbors, our coworkers, and let them know why this is so important. And we have a website at the AFL-CIO that you can look it up, and it explains everything. It's called betterinunion.org, all right? Betterinunion.org. Look it up. So that's the bad news. That's the dark and gloomy outlook of Project 2025. But we have some good news. We have some good news too. We have a champion who's going to stop that story from coming to pass. And her name is Vice President Kamala Harris. That's right. Because Kamala Harris walked our picket lines back in 2019 when J.D. Vance was still going to TED Talks with billionaires at the Aspen Institute, and Donald Trump was crossing picket lines. Kamala Harris has been instrumental in this historic record that we've achieved over the past 3.5 years. And Kamala Harris has made it clear that she believes in our public sector workers and our civil service workers and our unions. That's right. And we believe in her. We believe in her. And I'll tell you one story as I close out here, and I think about all we've been through together. And many of you remember back in 2021, the AFL-CIO president, Rich Trumka, passed away suddenly. And we found ourselves in our own really difficult moment of transition. And I was, of course, the #2 officer at the time and grappling with all that was coming at me, and my phone rang. Of course, my phone was ringing off the hook, but this call in particular was important because it was Kamala Harris. And she called to offer her support, and it was really more about supporting me personally, saying, I know you're grieving and I know you're leading in this moment. And you have to cabin it off. I'm going to tell you what every therapist tells you not to do, which is compartmentalize. And it was hard during that period, but she was compassionate. She was kind. And I hear people talking about her in the press, and they don't even know her, right? She is someone who has our back. And sometimes by chance, we find ourselves in these historic moments, and we have to be there for each other. And she actually walked across the White House lawn and showed up unannounced at Rich's viewing at our building, at our headquarters. And 2 weeks ago, that call came full circle. And the vice president, of course, called that Sunday, July 21st, when the news became official, when President Biden decided not to run again. And we talked about Joe Biden, and we talked about what he meant to us. And she told me very, very simply, she's ready to keep fighting for our unions and our workers. And I said, you had our back through a crisis, and we have yours. So NALC, what I need to know right now is, are you ready to make history? Are you ready to do what we do best and organize? And are you ready to send a working woman to the White House? That's what I thought. Thank you, NALC.
All right. Ready for our first letter carrier cheer? All right, how about a letter carrier cheer for AFL-CIO President Liz Shuler? Hip, hip. Hooray! Hip, hip. Hooray! Hip, hip.